Okay, I've been doing more reading of Matthew Lewin stuff, the readings that he's already got posted online, and I've been emailing him back and forth, and just wanted to share like some of the latest stuff I've gleaned from all that. First of all, the UFO thing, where I thought it was like the extraterrestrials that were communicating the stuff about the new electricity. And it turns out the Ascali individual, that person is actually a member of, or a peripheral member of his spirit team or whatever. So this is apparently a celestial entity. Now that may or may not mean too much of you depending on where you're coming from, but according to the Urantia portrayal of the cosmology of the universe, that's kind of a major division that you can distinguish. Because even though somebody can be communicating spiritually, communicating through a medium, that may or may not be a celestial entity. And actually, I think they have this general term called absoniters and finaliters. And absoniters are those that start out as being perfect, like seraphim and cherubim, like angels and stuff. And finaliters are those that start out imperfect and then work their way up to being perfect. And those would include the evolutionary peoples like us and like extraterrestrials and stuff. And also keep in mind that the extraterrestrials, this is totally in line with a lot of the UFO stuff, Whitley Strieber, whatever. The extraterrestrials are, and Douglas Cottrell, Boswell, you name it, there are definitely almost across the board inhabiting a more refined state of matter. If you read Andrew Jackson Davis, matter and energy get more and more refined. There's a whole hierarchy, and we're only aware of the most gross, crude, unrefined, coarse type of matter. And those would be our periodic table of the elements, our understanding of atoms and atomic structure of matter. That actually is just describing apparently the coarsest type of matter. And also apparently that's one of the unique things about the Earth, is that we are an inhabited evolutionary world that exists in that level, at the coarsest level, which apparently is unique. So I believe a lot of the evolutionary experiences could be had at other levels, where you would start out from square one, perhaps, in a higher form of matter. So your rate of vibration, I don't know if it's necessarily linked to your spiritual progress or not. It seems like it's not. It seems like that, in a way, at a certain level, that just determines what dimension you're in. And I've heard it said that there are 14 or 15 dimensions, depending on how you look at it. I think that's from Ross Peterson or somebody, Douglas Cottrell, one of those readings. So those could be like, once your rate of vibration reaches a certain threshold, boom, you've achieved a certain dimension or something. Maybe there must be like points of lowest energy levels where things bottom out and that it's stable, like a stable state. So very interesting. I mean, it just makes me wonder, like with the electrons, we see this with electron orbitals. And here I have a watch with this luminescent dial, and that works by the electrons inhabiting lower energy states, soaking up photons, getting bumped up to higher energy states. And there's like this hierarchy, almost, I don't want to say infinite, but very vast hierarchy of how high. It's almost like sky's the limit as to how high of an energetic state you can get your electron in. I believe that the higher and higher the state it gets in, the more easily it's knocked out of its orbital, but I'm not sure. And I don't know, that could be completely unrelated to this rate of vibration, but it just seemed to be, ring a bell for some reason. But anyway, getting back to Matthew Lewin. So the new electricity stuff apparently was channeled by his spirit team. And this really reminds me of the Paul Solomon readings, where they kept saying that if this John Peniel guy, whoever the heck he is, if he hadn't opened the chamber of records beneath the Sphinx or something from Atlantis by a certain point in time, meaning if he hadn't achieved enlightenment or something by a certain point in time, then they had a backup plan because apparently it's like there's kind of a sequence, and if the human race overall or the Earth doesn't achieve some kind of level of spiritual elevation by a certain point, then certain things can't happen, or they really don't want that to happen because they want everybody to be on board for this big step up, this era of light and life, or whatever the Urantians call it, and Matthew Lewin spirit team calls it the some kind of step or something, but it all is obviously describing the same thing for different perspectives. But anyway, so in Paul Solomon, they kept saying they had some kind of backup plan. They wouldn't disclose more about it, but that they had one. And I'm wondering if this Matthew Lewin guy isn't a big part of that. His spirit team has said that they planned on him developing a little bit faster, but just because of the exigencies of his life and how things turned out, it wasn't until like 5 years ago or something that he started to make breakthroughs, or I guess 2008, a couple of years ago, that he really started making some big breakthroughs in. It seems like he's not only a channel, another conscious trance channel or whatever, like the TM channels. It seems to be there are things that are unique, and it reminds me. The description reminds me of the Cirrus of Prevorst or something, where he is apparently capable of reaching a state where, or will be at some point, where he has kind of a foot in both worlds, where he's existing as much in the trance state or on the other side as he is here, and able to bridge the gap, so to speak. And of course, a channel does that, and I guess the more effectively one does that, the more effectively they can channel. But they seem to be talking about how he could get to the point where he can directly observe, perhaps, the Akashic record, directly observe the information on the other side, and that would enable him to do some unique things that are really critical to assisting humanity in this step up that we're trying to achieve. What's it called? Singularity. I can't believe the parallels between this and the technology AI people keep thinking there's this event called the singularity that's going to happen where suddenly our rate of being able to evolve our own intelligence will make scientific progress and everything shoot up exponentially, and they keep thinking it's in the near future, and I just think it's so interesting that coincides. It seems to coincide with this whole idea of this era of light and life, and this new level that we're possibly going to achieve. But anyway, so Matthew Lewin, apparently, I'm sure there are others that play, I know there are others that play all kinds of different roles, perhaps others that play similar roles to him, but he apparently is playing a very, very critical role, and apparently has been selected to give us, among many other things, this technology, a technology for green energy, infinitely replenishable green energy that's supposedly free energy. And not really free, it all comes from somewhere, but meaning, we don't have to burn something to get it, we don't have to consume something to get it. So I think that's really great, and as I read the Matthew Lewin stuff, it touches upon a lot of topics that the Urantian material touches on, but it's definitely from an outside type perspective, and the perspective I get from his spirit team seems to parallel the perspective of the deep trance channels. So you get a world-wide perspective that's more like the Cayce and Ross Peterson and Douglas Cottrell and Paul Solomon portrayals of the cosmology of the universe. Since I'm almost at 10 minutes now, I think I'll start another address and talk about that a little bit. So, Matthew Lewin, dig in. It's awesome stuff.